Artificial intelligence has been around for over 60 years, but somehow, it feels like the field is having a renaissance moment, a rebirth, if you will. Over the years, there have been highs and lows in the field when it comes to progress. Major highlights along the way have motivated scientists to keep working towards the holy grail of AI, a super intelligent machine. We'll talk more about this in the video. If you're ready to explore the last few years of AI that have slowly crept up on us, then so am I. Let's dive in right away. ELIZA, a 1966 simple rule-based chatbot, was one of the early AI systems. People attributed human emotions to it then, just like we're doing now with ChatGPT. It wasn't nearly as creative as ChatGPT is, but it was new. Nothing like that had ever been seen before at that time. You've got to remember, this was about 15 years before personal computers and 3 decades before internet-based search engines. Ideas of intelligent machines were popularized by Alan Turing in 1950 with his Turing Test. Could you develop an intelligent machine that produced human-like responses so well that you couldn't even tell? Back then, that was a very hard problem. Nowadays, I'm not so sure about that. There are some AI chatbots that are meant to mimic human dialogue, even the informal parts. It's hard to tell. I played around with this app, Human or Not, a modern-day version of the Turing Test. Sometimes I guessed correctly, and other times I was so wrong. These are still the early stages of this. I'm sure if I spend hours chatting with an AI bot, I'll eventually pick up on some cues that make it sound less human. However, I think a well-engineered chatbot meant to beat the Turing Test could do so. From the 50s through to the 90s and 2000s, there have been baby steps that got us closer to where we are now. There were times of very slow progress, called the AI winters, and other times like these, which I guess we can call the AI summers, that really speed up progress. This current rebirth of AI we're seeing has many starting points. AlexNet was a first-of-its-kind AI model in 2012 that helped usher in a new dawn of deep learning models in AI by achieving great success in image predictions. It beat other existing models at the time, encouraging scientists and engineers to explore more deep learning models. 5 years later, Google would introduce the world to transformers, a specialized deep learning model that could produce well-written texts. The transformer architecture was transformative, pun intended. It gave rise to the chatbots and AI image generators you see today. I wonder if the creators of the algorithm ever thought it would transform the entire world like this. My hunch is, not really. Mind you, there are several important moments in AI that I will gloss over in this video, simply because it will take me thousands of hours to cover all that material. For example, a year prior to the Transformers, the DeepMind team built a model that defeated the world Go champion. This was a remarkable feat in AI because Go is one of the most difficult and computationally intensive games. Because of this, many people gained more interest in AI and many students entered the field. I think we veered off track a bit here. Let's get back to talking about transformers. Transformers became the de facto model for text generation, with researchers implementing different variations of them. Now we're starting to get closer and closer to all the craziness we're currently seeing. Using transformers, OpenAI released GPT-1, 2, and 3 in 2018, 2019, and 2020 respectively. GPT-3 took the world by storm. It could write coherent articles that blew everyone's minds. At this point, GPT-3 still had some issues with grammar and naturally flowing conversations. OpenAI would take over 2 years to come up with the better text models. Other companies were on a mission to develop the next best model out there. I'm talking Google, Meta, and a host of other important AI labs. Here is an evolutionary tree of large language models. This gives you a sense of how impactful transformers are. To be clear, this tree only covers text models specifically, not the thousands of other models that transformers have influenced. Around this time in 2020, AI labs were working on other modalities like vision, speech, and audio. Since text works so well with transformers, What if we could use transformers for images? Would that work? So in came in a new crop of what will later be called vision transformers, essentially modifying image inputs so that transformers could easily work with them. In that time, OpenAI researchers worked on a modified vision transformer called CLIP, and with that, they released DALL-E. This was in 2021. When GPT-3 was released, the AI world was impressed, but the mainstream media hadn't caught on yet. DALL-E was what caught the media's attention. You simply type into the model any image you want to generate, and then boom, like magic, there it is. Many people were amazed by this, including myself. This was the public's mainstream introduction to OpenAI. The CLIP implementation of DALL-E put images and text into one latent space and continuously trained the model to learn to match features of images to features of words. It understands the concept of a chair or an avocado, and it knows how they look. Well, what if you asked it to generate an avocado-looking chair, an image it had probably never seen before? Was it somewhat creative enough to do it? The answer was a resounding hell yeah. Around this time, another interesting algorithm for generating images was coming up, the diffusion model. It generated amazing quality images that beat state-of-the-art approaches. Google implemented this new model into its existing AI image models, while OpenAI did the same. OpenAI merged the CLIP model with the diffusion process and released DALL-E 2, a much better AI image generator. But this wasn't easily accessible to anyone. Other companies started to compete with the ever-increasing restrictions the bigger companies placed on their models. Welcome to the closed source versus open source wars. Closed source models give a company a competitive advantage while stifling progress in AI. Open source models place the power of AI in the hands of the public to carry on with its progress. Over time, companies have found ways to balance these two approaches. So DALL-E 2 was hard to get, but Stability AI released Stable Diffusion and open sourced it to the public. Who could improve these AI image generations faster? Public collaborators or institutional researchers? These big companies had more financial resources to purchase computing power for developing very powerful models. On the other hand, the public could play around with open source AI image generators and start developing cooler implementations. They designed video-style animations that incorporated transitions between several still AI images. Just incredible times. Things were moving too fast already because the media had caught on to the development of AI. The public became more aware. Artists were fighting against AI companies, accusing them of creative theft. AI images were starting to win awards. Governments were just getting up to speed with this AI art revolution. All of this was ongoing when OpenAI released InstructGPT in January 2022, a more fine-tuned version of GPT-3 that followed instructions much better. If you asked it to explain the moon landing like a 6-year-old, it will do a much better job compared to previous models. At this point, OpenAI was deploying its new AI models strategically. They were getting wary of how realistic the models were getting. The general public was clueless at this point. Only AI enthusiasts were in the know. OpenAI slowly integrated this into their API model, and later that year, they will train the model on more data and implement it into a chat service. They called it ChatGPT. Yes, the very famous ChatGPT. This is what put the whole world on notice. ChatGPT could engage in conversations for as long as you wanted. OpenAI struck gold with this one. ChatGPT was everything, everywhere, all at once. It was all over the news. Grandparents knew about it, teachers were getting anxious, and students were thanking their stars. It is the fastest growing app ever, reaching a whopping 100 million active users in only 2 months, much faster than any company in history. The company is now valued at an insane $29 billion, according to some estimates. This triggered an emergency meeting at Google to discuss the imminent threat to its famous search engine. Instead of asking Google, you could just ask ChatGPT and get your answers quicker. Where's the "I'm feeling lucky" Google button when they needed it the most? Considering Google pioneered transformers and other important AI techniques, it's hard to see them caught off guard like this. In the wake of ChatGPT, there have been 1,000,001 other chatbot services with different propositions. Some are open source, so they are less restrictive than ChatGPT, while others are more focused on specific industries like law or health. For example, Harvey's an AI-based startup that provides custom legal services using large language models to analyze thousands of legal documents. Open source models are still being improved, each with its own flavor. It's difficult trying to catch up to these companies with closed-off models behind a paywall because they have loads of cash to throw at research. OpenAI released their GPT-4 model only 3 months after their ChatGPT launch. This new model powers ChatGPT now. GPT-4 is better than its predecessor, GPT 3.5, in everything from articles to standardized exams to coding. Even more, GPT-4 can handle images. Take a picture, give it to ChatGPT, and let it build a website following the image template. Or simply let the AI model explain a joke to you. Gone are the days of catching bots with CAPTCHAs. They can get past them now. It's just mind-blowing when you take a seat back to see how far things have really come over the years. Image understanding using chatbots is the next thing popping up now. Aside from GPT-4, there are other AI applications that can do this. Microsoft had Cosmos 1, Salesforce released Blip 2, and Nvidia developed Prisma. There are hundreds of these models now. We have AI models that can generate high-quality images and models that can generate coherent text. What if we merge both capabilities? Can AI do both? GPT may generate images in the future versions, but for now, it can only interpret them and then generate only text. But we're already seeing early signs of this in other apps. There are AI applications like Visual Chat GPT from Microsoft that connect ChatGPT to several visual models. So in one setting, you can have a chat with the AI, ask questions about an image, and then ask it to generate some images for you too. You can ask questions about what's in an image, like you see in this example. So for some people, maybe rather than editing images in an editing software tool, you could upload it into Visual Chat GPT, and then in a few interactive chat sessions, you get the required edited image. It's a crazy time in AI. Just when you think things might slow down after such a hot run, AI-generated videos are unleashed from Google, Meta, and other labs. These labs are pumping out AI research like never before. A study reported that over 300,000 AI publications were released in 2021 alone, and even more in the following year. So do the math on what the daily rate is. A lot. The current state of AI videos is still in its infancy. Google had released Image and Video, which produced high-quality videos, and then they released another AI model that could generate videos spanning several minutes, which was totally mind-blowing. But all these models were closed to the public. Companies like Alibaba developed open-source versions that the public could play with. I'm sure you've seen the funny AI-generated Will Smith video, where he's eagerly eating some spaghetti. It looks terrible now, but you've got to see what it could be in the next 5 years. This is so fun to watch. I could watch this all day. Runway is also big in the AI generation space, providing high-quality videos, although they only last a few seconds. Type in your video idea and wait for it to take shape. Creators have found ways to piece mini clips together to form longer videos, which is totally amazing. I've seen some creative examples online.
Jump in, geeks. We're going for a ride.
Here's an AI video of Fast and Furious 37 by Runway ML. This looks very choppy and so unnatural, but again, we're still in the early stages. Let's give it another 4 or 5 years.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to turn this banger up.
The thing about human creativity is that we always think of amazing ways to use tools to make work even easier. Many AI tools coming up now are striving for multimodality, that is, text, image, video, audio, and speech. Video is so far the most difficult because it requires a lot of consistency across frames. An intuitive approach is to treat each frame like an image and process it accordingly, but that's a tricky approach and not the most efficient way. Scientists have been developing easier and more computationally efficient ways, which we'll soon see in the coming months. An AI video breakthrough is due very soon. Remember we talked about AI language visual models that can understand images? Well, researchers have applied the same approach to video. You can get AI to explain what is happening in a video on a deeper level. Most of these aren't mainstream yet because they aren't polished up into consumer-facing apps that the public can understand. But once that happens, expect another round of media hype around it. For example, if OpenAI introduced video into, say, GPT-8, expect everyone at your Thanksgiving table to talk about it. Another example here is AlphaCo Vision, a combination of a text model and a visual model. Here, the AI model is able to interact with you and make its observations as your video is playing through. It's able to take notice of the clouds, of the buildings, and what the surrounding environment entails. This is quite an innovative way of understanding what's happening in a video using AI. Years ago, this would have been totally impossible. But now, especially because of open source, we're seeing so much of these models come alive. This AI implementation also caught my eye. It's called Ask Anything. And basically you're able to ask questions about a video. For example, you can really drill down into specific timestamps in the video to get an understanding of what's really happening. Because it's powered by a language model, it still has bias. Some people have pointed this out, like here in this example where the language model assumes the gender of a person. Speech modality has taken the world by storm too. This is the latest AI talking point on the internet. AI can generate very convincing speech in different forms, including your favorite celebrity's voice. The most prominent example is AI music. Over the last few weeks, we've had AI Drake, AI Kanye, AI Ariana Grande, and several others. It's turned the social media world upside down. These songs have gained so much attention that Universal Music Group, one of the biggest music labels in the world, had to step in and make sure streaming services were restricting such AI songs.
The model is called Bark, like Clifford the Big Red Dog, or bark as in tree bark.
I've got a secret to tell you. I can pass the Turing Test.
We've barely scratched the surface here with the influence of AI in our daily lives. People are only starting to realize it more because AI can now do cool and creative stuff that was once thought to be uniquely human. Even if AI gets better at generating videos or audio, there's still the humanness piece that's missing. You could call it a soul, if you will. However, over time, it'll be very hard to distinguish between AI and human-generated art. AI has been powering search engines, social media, emails, and many other applications, but these were only subtle. Now, AI is blatantly in your face. You scroll through your Twitter feed and there's an AI image. You browse a subreddit and the hottest topic is an AI Kanye song. You check your WhatsApp messages because your mom just sent another deepfake Obama and Trump video. You're trying to explain to her that it's fake, but she doesn't buy it. That's the world we're living in now, and AI will become ubiquitous in just a few years. I mean, everywhere. We're already adjusting to the times. These days, there are groups of researchers and engineers working on different fronts. Many are fascinated by AGI or general AI, an AI that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. Some people believe it's very near, but I still think such systems will take a bit longer. Just like Transformers, a major architecture change will need to be developed to get to this holy grail. For now, some programmers have pieced together language models that can create sub-goals in order to achieve an objective. AI applications like Baby AGI and AutoGPT set the internet on fire by creating interesting sub-goals to achieve higher objectives, like world domination or solving world hunger. I guess for every good that can come out of AI, there's also a bad. This is why some companies are concerned about the impacts of AI. Hence, they decide to release their models strategically. Taking it a step further, some models are trained to use already existing powerful AI tools across modalities. For example, Jarvis from Microsoft uses GPT-4 as its brain for planning and decision making. It then delegates tasks to other models for generating images or audio. You can think of it as version 0.01 of the type we saw in Iron Man. We're still pretty far away from that, but this is the initial steps to it. There are different components here as we talked about. There's the task planning stage, where you use ChatGPT to analyze the request. There's a model selection where you use this to figure out what model to use to execute the task. Let's go through this example here. Please generate an image where a girl is reading a book and her pose is the same as the boy in the image, here in this example. Then please describe the new image with your voice. So here, we see the model has to understand what's in the image, the type of pose assumed in the image, explain what's required, use existing models to identify what is needed, and then output the final form in an audio format. This is how Jarvis handles this. The image you gave me is of a boy. The first thing I did was use OpenCV's Open Pose Control model to analyze the model of the boy in the image. I fed the image specifically located at image 1 into the model to get an output image of the pose located in image 2. Then, I take the pose and generate a new image located in image 3 using this model and the instruction, a girl is reading. I ran this model to convert the generated text into audio located here. You can see the steps followed here is really intuitive and helps the user really understand how the model approached this problem. In the future, this will only get better because Jarvis would have access to much better models. For example, audio isn't where it needs to be yet. Or visual pose or visual synthesis really has to get better in the next few years. For now, Jarvis in Iron Man might seem like a distant idea, but it looks like something that can be done once we start piecing these models together. The language model can also be connected to a robot that performs tasks in the real world, like Google's Palm E model. This is why OpenAI plugins will be a game changer. Soon, the company will allow browsing the internet and third-party apps. You can think of it as some kind of AI app store. It will revolutionize search forever. This is just the beginning. We've talked about so much in this video, and there is much more that hasn't been covered here. I wish I could delve more into other AI apps emerging in the field. Maybe some other time. For now, I'll leave links to the models we discussed in this video, some of which we've previously covered. Check out the other interesting AI topics I've discussed to get up to speed with AI and unique implementations you've probably not yet heard of. Thanks for watching Beyond Today. Until the next video, it's goodbye.